Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day two, day three, day four. I think for some of you guys, I'm sorry for anyone who's on day four, and I hope it's okay, and you guys will be okay. But welcome to our 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. session. I'm really excited to be here. My name's Shane Dwyer. I oversee the Lyft ads business. We've been building that business for about 2.5 to 3 years. So we're really new, and we're excited to be talking to partners such as Ulta Beauty. Kelly Mahoney, the Chief Marketing Officer, is sitting to my left. Really excited to be chatting with her today about the intersection of data and AI and personalization and customer obsession. Right? I think those are like a couple things that we hold true to both of our businesses. I'll talk a little bit about customer obsession. I just showed Kelly this before we came on. My daughter, who is 14 and a half, I have 3 kids, and I have a 14 and a half year old daughter. And you'll see me holding these cards right here that say Lyft ads. My daughter saw me doing this at about 11 o'clock the other night as I was taping printed out questions that we had gone through. She said, "Dad, that's stupid. That's not a collab. You need a collab between Ulta Beauty and Lyft ads." So she put together a card that she wanted me to use. I didn't have enough time. As you'll see, it says Ulta Beauty and Lyft, and it has all of her favorite products. And it shows a storefront, a cityscape of New York, which is incredible.
And I looked at it and I said, "That's Herald Square."
It is,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
New York City.
it's Herald Square. So it's all about personalization and customization.
And note, that was one of the best sales tactics I've ever experienced in my entire career. So this is Erin Hogue, and she runs our retail media network at Ulta Beauty, and you'll be taking a meeting.
Yeah. We're gonna talk after this, which is gonna be great. Anyway, let's get down to it. Let's talk a little bit about loyalty, right? So I think I've been super impressed with your business. The loyalty program that you have has 46 million members and represents 95% of all of your sales, right? Which is incredible, and I think that's something that any one of us in this entire CES arena would be or is jealous of. So can you talk to us a little bit about how loyalty runs your business and when you realize, it's not just sort of a pet project, but it's more of like the actual like operating system for your business?
Well, I love talking about the loyalty program because that's actually where I got my start. 10 years ago, I came to Ulta Beauty, and it was to help really bring our loyalty program to the next level. And so Ulta Beauty Rewards is what we call it. Thanks for pointing out. We have 46 million members, and those members come back year after year. Really, really incredible result. We have incredible metrics on retention. And I think the most staggering metric is our 95% of every sales dollar is coming from a member. And that's incredible. You don't hear that in most businesses. Certainly my background, I was in oil and gas, and I worked for BP, and we ran a loyalty program, and there's no way we're seeing 95% of all of our sales coming from our members. So with that, when you have a program like that, you're seeing just about everything that's happening, whether it's happening in your stores or online. It's no longer a program. It's a relationship engine. And that's what drew me to Ulta Beauty, actually. I made the decision to jump over to help lead the loyalty program because they saw it as part of their secret sauce that could really power our growth. And over the last 10 years, our growth has just been so incredible. And you'll read about it. You'll read that we attribute a lot of that to the success of how we create relationships. And it really all starts with our loyalty program.
I mean, a little known fact, and I'm just going to give Kelly a little shout out over here. She's been in her role as CMO for about a year now, and stock price is up about 55%, I think, since you've started.
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
Yeah, it is. We are on a roll, aren't we?
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And you guys are on a bit of a rocket ship, which is really, really cool. Let's talk a little bit about competition. So again, like I also have 2 boys who aren't as into beauty. They are into wellness because it's very much part of sport and what they do. I know that's a big part of your business, but talk to me a little bit about competition and how you separate yourself from, the competitive set in market. What are you thinking about? How are you protecting the business for growth? How are you looking to innovate in a way that's going to help you guys, grow beyond your competitive set?
Yeah, I mean, this is an incredibly competitive category. Everybody wants a little slice of beauty because everybody loves beauty. That's the great thing about being in this category. We have some stats that say 77% of all U.S. Americans are considered beauty enthusiasts. So that's amazing. But that means, everyone wants into this category. So when we think about differentiation, it's really, I like to start with our brand because I think that's what makes us. You can buy beauty in a lot of different places now, especially Amazon, and the online the barriers to shopping for beauty online, they're low. Like people are buying beauty online, especially replenishment. So we got to be on our toes. I like to start with our brand because you got to give people a reason to want to shop at Ulta Beauty. And we're known, we're known as that welcoming, inclusive, approachable, and our brand's purpose. And part of what I did last year is we got to reignite our brand's purpose. We got to remind people why. Why do we exist? And we exist actually because we celebrate the superpowers of beauty. And I think only we really discovered that beauty is more than just what you put on your face, but beauty is actually about self-expression. It's about empowerment. It's confidence. You mentioned your sons with wellness. We saw this coming right out of COVID, that beauty and wellness are inextricably linked. And I like to say now that beauty is wellness and wellness is beauty. That opens the door too for us to a wider consumer set that we can appeal to. And you're right, men fall into that categories, young boys fall into that category. And by the way, young boys are one of the fastest growing beauty consumers actually for us. That we're looking fragrance, they speak to fragrance quite a bit. So grounding ourselves in our purpose, which is that we celebrate the superpowers of beauty to bring out and unleash the possibilities that lie within. And that's why you should choose Ulta Beauty. And then I think it's the welcoming and inclusive and approachable. Like you are welcome just as you are. You belong here and you don't have to, it's not an intimidating place to shop, whether that's online or in our store. I think that's what makes us incredibly special, especially when you look out at the different choices that you have to shop for beauty. But then we got to deliver. We've got to deliver by getting to know you. So it kind of goes back to this whole relationship engine that we built with our loyalty program. When you have all the signals that we have, which is well beyond purchase data and transactions, it's really intent. Like we understand your motivations now because we've collected so much data about you, and we're not doing it in a way that is, creepy or disruptive to you. This is really what our customers are asking us for. It allows us to then use that data to curate experiences because we do have 600 brands in our stores. Yeah. It's overwhelming. Like, let's be real. You walk into Ulta Beauty and there's 600 brands and we span across every single category of beauty from low to luxe, which is part of what makes us so special. We have to help our customers and guide them through that process. So help tee up what they need, but also help tee up what they don't even know they need.
I walked into one recently with my daughter, with my 14-and-a-half-year-old daughter, and I was blown away at the amount of brands and the amount of products and the amount of people actually that were in the store, which was wild. So that's hard, right? But I think like having that low to luxe, what you said, and having the different range of products probably helps you start to better understand different segments of consumers, whether it's younger or older or maybe lower household income areas versus higher household income areas to provide personalization. So let's talk a little bit about like the audience sets that you're going after and that you're targeting. We've talked a little bit about when we had our prep call, Gen Alpha and Gen Z, and how they have different expectations than other consumers of different ages. So how do you think about personalization? How do you think about providing a really unique experience for that 13-year-old who can now be a part of your beauty rewards program, right? Because you've recently lowered the age, which my daughter is actually a member. Again, I've talked about her a lot. She thinks you're a superstar, by the way. She wanted to be here.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, how do you think about like the younger generation compared to let's say the older generation?
Yeah, I think that's also what makes us unique in that we cater to all ages, every life stage. And then I like to say, but that doesn't mean we're all things and nothing to no one. We have to be very, very careful about that. That's where personalization does come in to the mix, because when you do have 600 brands and you do span across and we are diving into wellness in a big way, we can cater to all ages across all life stages. And I also like to say with 10,000 square feet and the broad breadth of our assortment, multiple generations can walk into our store or go online and they can have just as great of an experience. Mom kind of goes off into her corner, or son goes off into their corner, and everyone's happy. You can't always get that in every format, but all ages, all life stages. We have a very keen eye on the next generation of beauty lovers, for sure. Gen Alpha, Gen Z, whatever you want to call them. I like to call them the next generation of beauty lovers. Because the cool thing about them is, I had mentioned earlier, we think about 77-ish% of all US are considered beauty enthusiasts, which means they really enjoy it. It means that they're going to do some research about it. They get into it. They understand the value of it. It's even higher in the younger generation. And it has a lot to do with men, boys, young men. They're taking care of themselves. But this is where the link between beauty and wellness becomes so important to this formula, because that's what's really important to them. They see it as a form of self-care. They don't see it as armor or the shield you've got to put on in order to tackle your day. They see it as like, this is part of the process. Like, I'm taking care of myself, and that's really important to them.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. I guess show of hands, who shops at Ulta here? I mean, that's a pretty good, it's pretty good cross reference.
Part of the program.
I know. And who has not signed up for the loyalty program? If so, Kelly's going to want to talk to you afterwards. Can you talk a little bit about, and I'm looking at this through the lens of personalization, utilizing ML and AI to better build a user experience for your consumers. So, and I'll take a step back. So at Lyft, and we're building this advertising business called Lyft Ads, we are hyper-focused on this thing called the rider graph. So we look at, like, if you and I rode to each other's homes, and then I went to a restaurant during the NFL Sunday, and you went to a friend's house during NFL Sunday, like, we probably are NFL fans, right? We can start to build audience segmentation and grow our personalization engine for our consumers who are using our program. You guys have a beauty graph, right?
Yeah,
so can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's funny that you call it the rider graph. We call it the beauty graph. But basically, so it comes down to all the signals that we're collecting on all of our customers. So every member is scored, in all sorts of different ways. We create scores on propensity to want to enter into a different category, propensity on likelihood to select the next item within a category. I mean, sort of the different permutations of propensity and next best action is pretty unlimited, or it's limitless. So we score everybody and we model it, and that's really essentially our beauty graph, which then allows us to segment our customers very differently. So kind of gone are the traditional ways of segmentation. We're not talking about 18-plus-year-old women that live in suburbia. We're really talking about motivation. So this is the consumer that's motivated by wellness, and they really love to shop in our stores, but they seem to replenish online, and that's going to be our target. And we use the graph as a way of selecting, curating recommendations. Recommendations is an exceptionally important personalization experience for us to get right. And we've been spending years. I've talked about this actually for probably 6 years now, and I just feel like we're getting it real right and automated now, especially with some of the new technologies that have come along in the last 6 years. But the beauty graph really is the backbone of how we select, curate, and provide recommendations for all of our members. If you're not a member, you're not getting those curated experiences. So that's how we try to really personalize the experience.
I like that sales pitch. You're still selling those people over there who
if you're not
aren't
a member.
who aren't members, who are shoppers. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about, and kind of pivoting out of the data side, but talking into like the intersection of beauty and wellness and culture. So, your brand shows up at major events and cultural moments like the Super Bowl and Lollapalooza and Coachella. So how do you think about when you're looking at a program like that, right? Your goal is ultimately, how do I sell product? How do I build brand love? How do I get my product in front of consumers who matter to you, right? Maybe to drive more, loyalty members. But how do you think about participating in events like that, or moments or tentpoles like that, where you're like actually a part of the moment as opposed to like just surrounding it or advertising around it?
Well, for us in the category, and maybe this is not true for every single category, but for us, showing up inside culture is part of what makes us special, is the authenticity that we can bring. And I think you have to show up inside culture in order to build that trust. So, I'm a metrics-driven marketer. So I got my start in the loyalty business, and I'm all about everything can be measured. Erin knows, she can tell you this. But I also now understand the importance of building that relationship and building that trust and building that relationship. And I think that comes inside culture. And sometimes those things are hard to measure, like right away, in terms of the impact that you have. But we have longitudinal ways in which we're measuring that. How do we decide where and when to show up? Through insights, like where is there a natural intersection of beauty and culture? And for us right now, the two biggest places that we've identified are music and also sports. And last year, I don't know if you guys are following us, you saw us move really far and deep into music. So we wanted to really show up and build our credibility in that space. We did kick off with Super Bowl, and that was impressive, not because that was a sporting event, but just because that was a pop culture moment. And what a beauty moment it actually is. I was really stunned by just how much Super Bowl and the act of getting ready for Super Bowl is really a beauty and get ready with me moment, believe it or not. So that's why we chose that. And then throughout the whole year, you saw us at Coachella, you saw us at Lollapalooza, and then of course we did the Cowboy Carter tour. It was just a way for us to authentically connect with our members and our guests that were excited. Like, they are so excited, especially let's take Beyonce. They're thrilled she's back on tour. They love her. And if we could be a part of creating an experience for them as they're getting ready, which we were to go to their concert, I mean, that's love. Like, that ends up becoming just a bond that I don't think you can easily replicate when you're creating content or an ad, for instance.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. And we're a part of that too, right? Because we are driving people to and from those events. So that's such a through line when we think about, and I was listening to Jeff and Terrence talk earlier, and they were talking a lot about like bringing people out together, getting people to and from places, like bringing the world back, right, from where we were 5 years ago. And obviously we're all back, but like I think that's so cornerstone to what we do as a business, to try to give people an easy way to get to and from these like cultural moments. And you are very much involved in like people getting ready, getting prepared, and getting excited. And it's a nice through line between our businesses. All right, 80% of your sales are still done in store, right?
Right.
So you have a ton of time spent with your consumers who are going into your stores, but you also have a ton of time spent with people who are either buying, shopping online, and or experiencing your content on social media or other places, or maybe just searching for products online and then maybe going into the store. So how do you think about that attention that you capture? I don't know how much time it is, but it's a lot. And how do you think about this? Maybe a question for you guys with your business too, is like, I think about it. We have 24 minutes on average that people spend using the Lyft app from time of like, requesting your car, getting in your car and getting out. In that moment, that's when we're building the ads, experience and conversation with our riders. So like, how do you think about the personalization or just like the user experience in those moments? Because you do have a hyper captive audience who's not thinking about another competitor of yours, right? Who isn't thinking about shopping somewhere else. They're in your store.
Yeah, they are. I think the difference maybe between your journey and our journey is that it's so not linear. Like, it isn't. Yours is literally at point A to point B. Yeah. There's different routes you can take, I guess, to get from point A to point B, but you land at point B. That is just not our journey. Our journey is so non-linear, and it's kind of everywhere. I mean, some people are coming to us online because they want to just discover. They're, just scrolling and passing the time and getting inspired by just newness. And some are on a mission, like some are on a trip mission to do the replenishment that they need. So part of what we need to do what we do from a customer experience, especially digitally, is we got to identify that occasion. We got to understand what the customer is doing in this moment so that our models can really adapt and react to that. So the recommendations are appearing, like a replenishment recommendation might appear a little quicker in the experience than, let's say, hey, we have a new product recommendation for you. So that's one thing. I think from an associate perspective, and it is, I love being in a business that has both channels and being able to leverage both channels to complete a journey, because it is nonlinear and it needs to be seamless. You need to be able to flip between those two things. And I think that's more important now than ever before, especially when you think about agentic commerce and where that's going to take us. So it's like, we got to think about these things less about them being two distinctive channels and just more about completing the journey, this nonlinear journey I was talking about. So from the store perspective, how do we start to really empower our associates equally with the amount of digital enabled tools that our guests have when they walk in, but without it being awkward. We have not cracked the nut on that. Right now, we're really relying upon, we hire really amazing associates that love beauty, that are passionate about beauty, and they also really love people. Those are the two things we really look for when we're hiring people, because welcome, inclusive, and approachable is who we are and what we do. So that really gets power to the conversation. And we hear that all the time. Like, I love the associate that works at Ulta Beauty, and they work hard to personalize that experience. But in the future, I think we really need to think about how we start to digitally enable that human experience to just make that a much more seamless and fluid experience for the guest between channels.
I mean, I imagine your customer, the teams that work in the stores have to know a lot about and have to love the product and have to love the industry, right? In order for them to even succeed as someone who can talk about the business when you're, So, all right, moving from like time spent, captivity of audiences, data, right? Like data, you've focused on data. You come from the loyalty side of the business. The business recently utilized or employed a new CDP. You guys work with Adobe, so there's all facets of people here at CES. There's the data people, there's the marketing people, there's the media people, there's the brand people, there's the measurement people. Like, for anyone out here who is building a business, or for anyone out here who has thought about making a change to better employ their data, like, can you talk about sort of that decision-making process and how you utilized a new CDP to help you with your audience segments?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Well, first of all, it starts with the data foundation, and I have been at Ulta Beauty 10 years, always around and in this space. And I will tell you, we probably redid our data structure. Don't tell anybody, but we probably redid it 3 times just because things were changing so fast. And it was really important that you structure your data in a way that could be consumed by whatever new technologies were coming. And that's why, legitimately, we had to do that a couple of times in order to get it right. And we'll probably have to do it again and again and again. But my point is, really make sure you have a solid data foundation. When you have 95% of all your members' data flowing through, that was our first priority. So again, back 10 years ago, we started on this journey, and we'll continue because it is always evolving. I think the thing that about 5 years ago, we really thought we knew how we were going to be able to connect the data into all of our channels to start to automate the journeys we were looking to automate. There's no such thing as a CDP back then. They don't need a CDP because we have a CRM system. We have a campaign management platform. We don't need a CDP. Now, though, when you really look at where marketing technology is evolving to, and when you really apply things like generative AI in order to make your marketing more efficient, you need a CDP. And I think we chose Adobe because Adobe's been a really great partner to us. I think they have a solid roadmap, and they know where this thing is headed. So they've been strategically really, really supportive. How we leverage it, what we're doing right now is, it's taking in all of our data, and we build new use cases every single day that are orchestrated and automated. So as you can imagine, we have new members that join our program. There's a new member journey that's set up that's taking you personally through your own experience so that we can maximize your understanding of everything we have to offer you. And our hope is that makes you want to come back to Ulta Beauty a second time in less amount of time. So we used to say we want somebody to come back to us twice within 90 days. Now we want to say we want somebody to come back to us twice within 40, because we can automate the journey and we can put personalized content in front of you that inspires you to want to come back.
It's similar in rideshare, where rideshare, north of 50% of people cross shop. So if you have both apps on your phone, you get to the airport and you open up Lyft and you open up Uber and you say, and now you open up Waymo and others, and you say, what's faster and what's cheaper, right? Like, I know that everyone does that. You guys can tell me that you don't do that because I work at Lyft, but we know that you do that. So it's all about, like, once you take that first ride, how do you have a really great UX, great experience for the consumer, for the rider, so that they want to come back and so that they feel like it's something that they have like a brand affinity to. So with 38 seconds left, correlating into that or transitioning off of that, building brand and driving sales are like 2 most important things. Like, you need to drive sales to power your business, but you have to create that brand love. So How do you think about both of those, because they're two very different components to your marketing structure that I assume are intertwined. So if there's something that you can share with the audience in the next 10 seconds, I think that'd be great to end on.
I mean, it all does. That's the output measure. Sales is the output measure at the end of the day. There's a lot of inputs that go into getting that output. And I would just say the starting point to any conversation you're having about generating that output is start with your purpose. Start with understanding, what is your purpose? Why do you exist? Why does your brand, why should somebody choose your brand? Ground in that purpose, like ours being celebrating the superpowers of beauty, trying to help the world understand beauty isn't this superficial thing you put on your face. Beauty's about self-care, empowerment, expression. It's about connection. And when you talk about your brand that way, then you're just a much more meaningful, you're actually a lifestyle. And then when you're a lifestyle as a brand, then you're a part of their life. And I think that's really what's important to do first. Everything else sort of will come.
Okay, guys, you heard it there first. Make your brand a lifestyle. Thank you so much, everyone. Excited to keep the conversation going and appreciate the time.